Hello and welcome to another section in further mathematics. In this section, we'll be looking at perpendicularity of a vector. But before that, let us look at our previous lesson. Okay, welcome back. Now, we just finished doing justice to dot product of a vector. Now, we want to apply that in looking for at a point where two vectors are either perpendicular or parallel to each other. And the law of perpendicularity states that if two vectors, let's say P and Q, are perpendicular to each other, the dot product of these vectors will be equal to 0. Now, we have a question. We have to use this question to prove what we are just trying to. So whenever you look for the dot product of any two vector of three vectors and you discover that the answer is equal to 0, then just know that the relationship between the two vectors is perpendicularity. That's one of the vector is perpendicular to the other. Now, when you talk about being perpendicular, we are trying to say while the other vector moves in the x-axis, the other moves in the y-axis, and it makes a 90 degrees. So the angle between them at that point will be 90 degrees. Example 1. Now they say if P is equal to 4I plus kj and Q is equal to 2I minus 3j. Now, if these two vectors are perpendicular, then find the value of k. Okay, now the first thing we need to do is to look for the dot product and equate it to 0 to enable us to get the value of k. So we have P dot Q to be equals 4 times 2, we have 8, minus 3k, k is equals 0. So with this, we now have 8 to be equal to 3k. Now the value of our k will be equal to 8 over 3. Now if the value of k is equal to 8 over 3, then that is to show that the vector, they are both vectors are perpendicular to each other. Now I'd like us to move further into solving example 2. Two vectors are said to be equal if they have the same value. Now let us find the value of k in the vectors below if they are perpendicular. So we now have P equal to 3I plus j and Q equals minus 2I plus 3j. Okay, minus 2I plus 3j. Why this is 3I plus kj. Now we do the dot product. P dot Q will now be equal to we have our 3i plus, just write down the vector first, dot product minus 2i plus 3j. Now we multiply it and equate it to 0 to look for the value of our k. So we now have 3i times minus 2, we now have minus 6, then plus k times 3 is 3, k is equals to 0. So the value of our k is, okay, let's add plus 6 to both sides, plus 6. So this goes with this. We now have 3k to be equal to 6. So the value of our k is 6 over 3, dividing both sides by 3, which is equal to 2. So if these two vectors are perpendicular to each other, the value of k is equals to 2. So to refresh your memory on what we've just discussed, I would like you to take the test that will be coming up shortly on your screen. Always do well to use the lesson notes on this platform for better information on the topic we've discussed. So thank you and see you in our next lesson.